Okay, let's get more on Trump's latest tariff threats. A 35% tariff on at least some Canadian goods shipped into the United States. We're joined now by Mark Warner, Principal Counsel at MAAW Law. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Mark.
Thanks for having me.
For one thing, I don't know if it's 100% clear if this 35% tariff goes through, what goods it will be applied to. I know CIBC's Ian DeVertais is saying it could be just 10 to 15% of Canadian exports.
Well, basically it comes down to this, that there are certain rules of origin in the trade agreement that define whether a product is made in Canada or Mexico or the United States. And often before this new trade war, we knew that auto exporters were basically staying out of compliance because the tariff was just 2.5%, and it really wasn't worth hiring lawyers to figure out and to prove that, in fact, you met the content requirements. I've seen various estimates, some as low as almost around just below 60%. I've seen some up as high as 80%. It varies by industry. Remember, what we're talking about now are tariffs that would apply to American tariffs that would apply in the first instance to imports from Canada. So we're talking about what we sell to them, and that doesn't comply with those agreements. So, you know, it will hit some things, but in terms of what we might pay as Canadians, how it feeds back into the loop for what we see, that would depend if the government decides to have retaliatory tariffs, which they like to call counter tariffs, which to me is a nonsense. But and then of course we pay the counter tariffs, which is why I don't like to call it counter tariffs.
You think, though, that this could well be a sign that the talks, the trade talks, such as they are, we don't know exactly what the depth of negotiations are. They're sputtering. They're not going that well.
Yeah, my guess is, you know, there's two different markets I look at, right? One is the political market, where there's a lot of pressure for the government to have elbows up and to be seen to be fighting back. And then there's the economic market, where people realize that Canadian companies and Canadian citizens and workers will be hurt by any kind of retaliation. And somehow those two markets have to meet up. And what I think is going on here is, you know, the United Kingdom agreed to a baseline tariff of 10% in its agreement. They did not get a letter because they had an agreement. The European Union has not got a letter, but all of the reporting that I can see is that the Europeans have crossed the Rubicon and are willing to pay a 10% baseline tariff. So as I read, and you know, Japan and Korea apparently were not, and they got a letter. So as I read the tea leaves, it says to me that Canada is sticking its heels in the sand and saying we don't want to pay a baseline tariff, and that's why we got a letter. And at some point, some level, possibly higher than 0 and maybe lower than 10, what the UK agreed to, we can probably get out of this with some baseline tariff. But the old way of trade negotiating that Canada likes to do, which is to rag the puck to the 11th hour, I just don't think works with Donald Trump. And I mean, we saw this under Prime Minister Trudeau back in 2019, and now it's a style of negotiating that is the Canadian style of negotiating trade agreements with everybody, not just with Americans. I just think this is not the guy to play that game with.
Really, has that been Canada's game plan? Just delay it out and just exhaust the opposite party?
That's the history. That's what we did under Harper with what was then called the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And we did it again under Prime Minister Trudeau when it was converted to the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership. What we did with the Canada-EU trade agreement under both Harper and Trudeau. It's just what we do. It's what we're known for. It's not new. It's not, and you know, other American presidents that are not prepared, that basically we know won't go nuclear, it might work. It won't work with this guy. That's as simple as that.
So that's interesting. You distinguish what really happens in terms of negotiations and then the political sphere, because Carney has come under fire, especially over the digital services tax, that levy on US internet giants. He chickened out on that one. He backed down. He's taken some heat over that. But you think we shouldn't get too caught up in symbolic, or, well, I mean, it was a serious measure, but political measures like that?
Well, here's what I think. I think that the problem is there's two different, within Canada, the digital services tax climb down was seen as a major concession. But since everybody in the United States on a bipartisan basis didn't agree with that, and it would have been opposed by Biden had we gone through with it under Biden and led to some kind of a trade case or trade retaliation, I don't think that Trump is going to be paying a lot back for Canada getting rid of it. Now, that probably is a real hard thing for Mr. Carney and his negotiators to hear, but it's reality. So then the question, when you sit around the table, the Americans are saying, I guess, what do you got for me? And they're saying, what do you mean, what do you got for me? I've given you a fentanyl, I've given you defense, I got rid of the DST. And they're saying, so what do you got for me? What about that baseline tariff? I don't think we're getting out of this without a baseline tariff. And you know, it is hard because we do have a free trade agreement. We do have the CUSMA. We do have the USMCA. And we would like to think that, well, why should we now have to, in the middle of that, add back in a baseline tariff? Why? Because that's the price of preserving our arrangement and living to fight another day. That's how I see it. But if you want to be principled about it, you'll get a letter like what we got yesterday.
And what the fentanyl, I mean, that seems like it's an awful tragic story. It's taken tens of thousands of lives in our two countries, but you think it's a bit of a red herring in the sense that it looks like very little fentanyl goes into America from Canada. Of course, we can't be sure.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very important point because what people are looking at are the seizures, and the argument the Americans are making is there's this de minimis exception, and where for the things that are valued less than $800 don't get checked by customs. And there happen to be an awful lot of de minimis exports across the Canada-U.S. border, probably twice the amount that come from Mexico to Canada. But the main point is this. Why is he using fentanyl? It's because the American president has no authority to raise tariffs, except if he uses authority that's been granted to previous presidents by Congress, or he uses his inherent Article 2 authority for national security, inherent presidential powers. And so he needs some pretext to talk about national security. Mm-hmm. He's chosen fentanyl. We get very emotional about it, but he's never going to get rid of it because that's his whole basis of being able to do this. Otherwise, he has to let someone else play the tariff game.